Dangus log. I'm out here in space again, on a contract to recover the dead bodies of all the commanders that have been throwing themselves at Thargoids. My ship is filled with literally tons of corpses. Well, at least I won't go hungry. Whoa, wait. Why is it so dark and spooky in here, Spatula? Eating dead bodies is gonna scare the children. Ah, I gotcha! Haha! Happy Halloween, space dockers! In honor of the night in which we go out in disguises and shake down our neighbors for sweet delights, I've made a special Dangus. I've been out prowling the galaxy, hunting down the spookiest locations that there are to be spooky in and get spooked. Join us as we investigate the 10 most spookiest places in the Elite Dangus universe. Now, I have to warn you, things are about to get scary, so you might want to pause this and go to the bathroom so you don't upset the inside of your pants. Let the Dangus Spooktacular commence! Recently discovered Thargoid structures are a must-have on any list of mysterious places. Covered in the vomit of roaming skimmers, there are large megalithic ridges surrounding an almost nipple-like central structure, which you can enter if you brought an alien probe. Going deep under the ground, organic tunnels wind downward into the heart of alien terror, where even the brave wear brown pants, and only nightmares themselves dare to dream. In spooky situations like this, you have to remain calm and just evacuate your bowels into your spacesuit and press forward. It's okay, the spacesuit was designed for this. In the center, the Thargoid machine will either razzle or dazzle you, depending on what kinds of dead alien relics you feed it with. Many commanders have met their grisly fate trying to find these hatcheries of terror, and now you too can experience these spooky sights. Just make sure you wipe your SRV wheels before you get back in your ship. And now we come to the original spooksters of the galaxy, the Guardians, and they left behind a very eerie legacy. These sprawling ruins are a gigantic graveyard of both information and, in the more literal sense, actual dead aliens. These locations are littered with urns and cryptic structures and artifacts that will titillate your flight or fight instincts. Imagine that, just an entire species of ghosts out there being spooky with other ghosts for millions of years. And then mankind shows up and tears apart the ruins trying to get rich for that Ramtar character. Now, I never actually did that whole questline, by the way. That's not because the Guardian ruins are too spooky for me, it's just because I don't have 16 hours to work on a broken puzzle. But these Guardian sites are massive and visible from orbit. If you want to send a tingle down your spingle, check on out one of these Guardian ruins. Now, on the other hand, the California Nebula, while quite pretty to look at, is housing some Dark Alliance secrets at its core. Bases constructed out there next to strange patches of unknown fungus, perhaps working on some biological weapons to unleash upon the galaxy, or something even more sinister, like a mushroom casserole. There's just something about the way the hot fumaroles look at me, and those cold, lonely research facilities out there, that really gives me the heebie-jeebies. Plus, these guys take Halloween way too seriously with all those pumpkin patches. Like, yeah, I'm a big Halloween enthusiast myself, but it's not like I have hundreds of gigantic space pumpkins in my ship. Instead, I have dead human corpses. Yes, tons of corpses. Ooh, spooky! But not as spooky as these giant space pumpkins. I mean, what kind of jack-o'-lantern could you carve here? Now, not all the spooky locations are planetside. Deep in the dark of space, one occasionally finds themselves tied up in the gravity well of a black hole. And don't let its space-time distorting effects put you at ease, though. These voracious voids will spaghettify you in a second, which will last 1,000 years. So it's best to keep your distance, unless you're into some really kinky gravity fetish stuff. Now, it's advisable not to try jumping through these space oddities either, lest you find yourself jumping into the spooky dimension. It's spooky. Ooh. Now, if you want to get legit spooked, look up the INRA base locations currently being discovered and pay yourself a visit to these desolate monuments of human history. According to some books somewhere, probably, INRA was a secret joint project between the 3 galactic superpowers to research a weapon against the Thargoid threat. The result was the mycoid virus, and a cover-up, and some very pissed-off Thargoids who recently decided to return. Was INRA to blame? And what could be spookier than an abandoned alien plague research center? Even the ground looks like it's been infected with a deadly virus. For those who dare explore these bases, make sure you wash your hands after thoroughly with soap. Several INRA facilities have been discovered so far, but I have no doubt there are more unknown terrors waiting out there. Now, one of the scariest places to be in the universe is just under your feet. The second seat in an Asp Explorer sits precariously above a glass floor of the cockpit, in a position that terrifies the co-pilot in every landing scenario. But to the main pilot, and even more terrifying, is the hole in your own cockpit leading down. Usually there's no one down there, or is there? It's just a gaping hole into a world of terror below. Ah, gaping holes. That reminds me of my time in prison. And let's just say I'm glad I wasn't dropping the soap on this Alcatraz-class prison megaship. These absolutely massive structures will terrify anyone with gigantophobia, but even more so, there are ships out there that have been ravaged by the Thargoids. Flying past, one can almost hear the screams of the dead inmates as they sat hopelessly in their cells, awaiting certain doom. The saddest part is I'm sure one of them was just about to get out for good behavior. Let's just hope the ghosts direct their revenge towards the Thargoids. It's spooky stuff. It's very spooky. Okay, now let me tell you, there is nothing more horrifying to me than the thought of my ex-wife's reproduction junction when it became a popular tourist location just after our divorce. Of course, you can't visit this location anymore because some commander happened to shoot down her wedding barge. Now, this creepapalooza called Site 16 may just look like another procedurally generated Indra-style ground facility, but there lurks a dark story here. Scattered about the base are comms logs, detailing a horrifying experiment performed on people here as they withheld the food supply and monitored the effects of starvation. Now, I'm a bit of a chubby guy myself, because I love eating food, so the thought of dying from hunger really spooks me out. This place is crawling with hungry ghosts. Hungry for what? Hungry for ghost food! I don't have any ghost food! Ah! But this brings us to one of the most haunted, spookiest places everyone goes all the time. That's right, witch space. One of the spookiest moments in any commander's journey comes from the repeated forays into subspace. Things have been seen in witch space. Horrible things, lurking behind the veil of space and time. Of course, those were all just ghost stories, right? Right. There's nothing lurking out there in witch space. Nothing behind those weird, sheeny things. Until, of course, reports of Thargoids pulling people out of witch space were verified. The possibility of being hyperdicted made all those witch space ghosts all the more real. And these are only a sample of the many spooky places this galaxy has to offer. If you know of any scary stories or locations from out there in space, leave a comment or a link so I can check it out.
Hello.
But for now, I wish you commanders a happy Halloween.
What is this?
Oh, geez. Wow, that was spooky. I'm spooked.